Sudhir Pathak, please, well, thank you so much for joining us. And please introduce yourself fully, tell us about your work, and please tell us a story.
Thank you, Eric, for the opportunity, first of all. And I'm Sudhir Pathak. I'm an IT professional. I'm an IT professional in my daytime. But once I end my working hours, I'm also a professional speaker. I'm not a professional storyteller, to be really honest. But I try my best to bring it on when I speak. My story is my personal experience, and just would like to share it to you all, and would like to see your or to get your blessings. I think if you all will introspect, or if you will observe about yourself, we'll all will find that we have a dream or an aspiration. I mean, it could be a small, it could be a big, it could be changing. You might have achieved one, and then now you have captured another one. But we all are living around the dreams and the aspirations. My father and mother basically come from a farming background. Their fathers were also farmers. When they started their journey, they got married at a very young age of 20, 21, and they were living in a village. My father moved towards Delhi with an intention to have a better life, with an intention to give better studies to their respective children. I mean, my father is very fond of teaching their kids, and now to their grandchildren as well. He was not educated. I mean, he was hardly first or second class pass out. He came in, he knew this thing, that he will come out and he'll have to struggle it out. He came to Delhi with that aspiration, with that dream for the better living and to give a better life to their children. The way he started his job or a career, or that movement towards an aspiration, he started working in a gas station because he was not educated enough. And what he was doing was he was filling the gas onto the vehicles which were coming. And he did this very proudly for 20-25 years. And whatever he was earning, whatever he was saving, was putting into the studies of his respective children. And I'm one of them. We come from a background where we did not have much to, I'll say, to fulfill or to cater to our needs. We saw a lot of scarcity. But I was the one who was always living with that dream. Since very young age, I was living with that dream of my parents, that I have to do something. It's a typical Indian mindset, I will say, that with that okay, I have to do something to fulfill the dream which my parents are carrying. And I carried on with that. Fortunately, I was good in studies. I did good wherever I stepped in. Things started moving nicely. And I, with those scarcities itself, I completed my master's in computer application. I was a studious child. I got it. My parents were saving right from their earning days itself. I was 25 years old. It was in the year 2005. Okay, when I basically came out from my master's of computer application. I did good. I was looking for a job, and I didn't get one because there was no placement at that time. Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry about that. Somebody turned their mic on. I apologize.
No problem, Eric. So I completed my master's of computer application. I didn't get a good job. I was looking for a decent job, but I ended up in a call center. I was working in the night shifts, and it was tough for me as well, because I was sleeping in the day. I was working in the night. But I was still proud that I'm able to bring the money to the family and to my parents' livelihood. This journey was continuing, and in the after doing my job for 6 months in the night, one particular night, I started feeling a bit of dizziness. I started feeling uncomfortable. I thought it possibly could be because I'm working in the night shifts and I'm not getting enough sleep. I went back home, literally ignored it, and went to sleep, and then came back for the night shifts again. After 10 or 15 days, while working in the night shift, I again felt a bit of dizziness, and this time a bit of nauseatic feeling as well. This time I didn't ignore. I came back home next morning and I told the same to my parents, and I, along with my father, visited the hospital. We visited the government hospital. The doctor asked us to do certain tests, and he asked us to come back after, once we have the results. After 3 or 4 days, once the result came out, we visited the doctor again. I along with my father. And after seeing the reports, the first thing doctor asked me, do you have a life insurance? I said no. And the next question he asked, how soon can you get admitted to hospital? I said, definitely not today, because I have office to attend. But with those two questions, I was already shaking. I was not able to hold my ground, because those were not easy questions. Those were not motivating questions. And then I took a look towards my father, and I think he was pretty much feeling the same, possibly worse than me, because now being a parent, I can understand how he was feeling at that time. Before the doctor go ahead and ask the third question, I asked him, can you tell me what exactly is the matter? He said that, unfortunately, you have lost both of your kidneys and you have to get admitted to get the further tests done. I was literally lost, not because he told me that I'm going to, something has happened to me. It's because I thought the dream which I was carrying for my parents, the dream with which they came to the city, the hard work, the things which I was carrying on my shoulders were shattered by just one single statement and a couple of questions by a doctor whom I met for the very first time. I brought the courage. I said, can I get admitted later, maybe a couple of days? He said, yes, you take your time, but you have to get admitted to save your life. I said, fair enough. I again took a turn towards my father, and he was about to cry. I brought the courage back and asked him to go back to home, because there was one more person at home who was waiting for us even eagerly. And I didn't have the courage to go back and tell this thing to her, and that was my mother. We spent some time in the hospital strategizing that how exactly do we need to go back and tell the news. We took the bus, we went back home. We tried to, absorb the things and were trying not to reflect in our faces. But that's where the mothers are best at. They can read your faces, even if you do not speak a single word. She read my face, and she continuously asked, till the point I broke the story and possibly broke her heart as well. Those were not easy days for us. Even when I'm telling the story, I feel about the face of hers. It still makes me sad. She was inconsolable. I think she didn't sleep for those couple of days, and I was at home before getting admitted to hospital. But on the very third day, she showed a lot of courage. She showed a lot of courage to accompany me, get the formalities done, and help me getting admitted to hospital. On the very third day, I got admitted to hospital, and that was the day when the journey started. Journey of utter pain, uncertainty, and a lot of selfishness I have seen around the society where I was living in. I got admitted to the hospital. They did the tests. I mean, they told me that ultimately you have to get into a kidney transplant, but that could happen a year or 2 years later, but that has to happen. Remember, it was the time when I came out of the college, I just joined in the organization, etc. I was so new. We didn't have the monetary things to take care of the needs, which was the demand of that particular time. And to be really honest, I was not in the best of my mental states to take that on. But it was my mother who was giving me that courage. I mean, she was not motivating me by words, but she was motivating me by her emotions, and sometimes, or the most of the times, by her actions as well. And that's what I remember. Anyways, journey continued. After a couple of years, the state came in wherein I had to I had to get into a state wherein I need to go to dialysis and all. The people who don't know what dialysis is, it's a state wherein your whole of the the blood of whole of your body gets purified. They ultimately take that out, and then they filter it, and then they put it back in your in your body. And it happens because your kidneys are not capable to do so. So I was pricked with those big needles, and I have to stay. I have to temporarily get admitted to hospital for 4 hours, and it was a painful 4 hours. And it used to happen 3 times a week for 4 hours each day. So that's the way it was. That particular time, it was the year 2007 when I got admitted. I mean, the thoughts which were coming to my mind was that this is going to an end with the end of my life, because I didn't have any motivation left. And the worst was happening around me. I mean, I was just 2 years in a different job now. The people with my caliber or equal to my caliber, they were growing. I was not able to cope up. My body was not giving the best of the signals. We were monetarily going down. I was in a relationship with someone, and that someone basically left me once she came to know. There were a lot of people who were around me, so-called my relatives, and they started pulling themselves out, thinking that I'll be needing a lot of help. So I was in a state. I was in a state wherein, uh, I was not only fighting physically, but I was getting things back into trying to get the things back mentally as well. So I was just on my own, my few of my family members and myself. So this all pain continued. I still remember I used to work from hospital because I had to stay in my job as well. So while lying on the bed, those needles pricked, and I used to work from one of my hands with that laptop. So I have seen all those things. While I was thinking about death, while I was thinking that there is nothing happening, there's one particular sparkling moment happened in my life. I was returning from dialysis from on one particular evening, and I was standing in front of this bus stop, and I saw a bunch of young kids. I mean, it's like 10 to 12, and they were just laughing, giggling. I don't know what they were talking about, but they were all smiles. And I was just thinking that, what a beautiful life they have. I mean, they are thinking ahead, they are thinking future, and I'm the one who is just suffering, and possibly it's going to end with my death. And then I thought, what exactly, how and why good things cannot happen to me? And I didn't have an answer. I went back home. I didn't sleep whole night. I still remember I didn't sleep whole night, and I was just thinking. And then, possibly in a subconscious state of mind at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m., I don't remember the time, but a courage came from within. Let me fight it out. Let me fight it out. Let me give a face. Let me show a face to life. And even if it ends up in death, it's fine. At least I had to try. I should be giving it a try. It didn't happen in a single day, but possibly in over the next 4, 5, 6, or 7 days or a week, I started building this thought that I have to give it a fight. But once I started bringing this thought, the miracle, I think, started happening around me. The positivity, I brought the light of positivity around me, and it started flowing all across. all of a sudden there were people, it's not all of a sudden, but possibly over the number of days, I started finding people who were supportive to me in my professional life. I started performing better. My body was reacting better to the medication which I was getting. I was mentally more stable. Not only I was able to motivate myself, I was able to motivate the people who were around me. I mean, those people were again the people who were going through the dialysis in the same hospital. I was more talkative, I was more energetic, and now I was seeing a hope. I was seeing a life. I mean, physically I was still going through the same, but mind now started thinking in different direction. Mind now started thinking in towards hope, towards life. Things were still going bad, but I was not losing hope. I decided I will not give it up. If it happens, if it's fine, but I will not give it up. And then the story continued. I'm telling you, I started finding bunch of people. I made an environment with them. I started talking to them. And ultimately in the year 2011, one of my cousins came in, we convinced him, he donated, I got transplanted. And then I got a new lease of life. I got a new lease of life from that one particular incident which happened on the bus stop that transformed me to what I am today. My journey, my story didn't stop in the 2011. It ignited somewhere in the bus stop, but it took off from 2011. Once I came out, once I came out from the deathbed, I was a transformed person. I was a different person who was now thinking life in an altogether different perspective. You know what happens in Indian society when they come to know, that you basically has a shortcoming or you overcame a shortcoming, they will always pinch you towards that shortcoming. But now I was actually getting motivated by those shortcomings. Just to give you one more small incident, once I came out of this, I was being told, now you will be not getting a girl, you will not be getting anyone because you have the shortcoming, who will marry you, etc. I took it as a challenge. I said, okay, let's show it a hope, and let's bring the transformation to that aspect as well. There are a lot of rejections I got. I'll be honest enough. There were a lot of people, there were a lot of families who were not happy to take me on because of this shortcoming or because of my past. But I'm so very glad and proud to tell you that I found the best of the soulmate who knew everything, who stood with me, and who made me wherever I am. So that was the transformation which came in, and it still exists. It still exists today. And then I started, started my contributions towards NGOs. I started helping kids because I love kids. But those transformation brought me to an arena when I started sharing my journey and my stories to a lot of people. I just started as a very noble cause. I visited NGOs and started sharing my stories, and I'm happy that I helped a lot of people to come out of their their miseries possibly, and to get a life, or to think life in a different way. I spoke in a lot of forums. I mean, a year back from here, I was in Singapore, so I spoke in a lot of forums in Singapore as well, even in Nagpur in India as well. So that's how I feel I have transformed myself. And now I just embrace challenges. I just, the only one belief which I carry in my mind is that whenever it will come, in whatever form it will come, it will only come for my betterment, and I will always have a life beyond that. So that's it. I just wanted to share that personal story to all of you. Thanks a lot for listening to me. Thank you very much, Eric, for the opportunity.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed your journey. As a storyteller, though, what I would ask you to consider, because you say this isn't your forte, you share, but with a story, they have like moments and it goes up and down. And whereas I felt you had lots of truth, but it was hard to pick out those key moments. So for me, maybe what you might keep in mind when you go through this story again to share it is that hope is a powerful gift, because your parents especially your father had a hope in the future for his children to have a better life. Then that's the start, right? The hope that he had a better life. You had the hope that through working hard at school, you would have a better life that could help your parents. Then this happened. And when it happened, it was so shocking. There was no hope there. It wasn't until you saw the kids that hope was resurrected, and that you decided to fight for your life and have the hope again, that your life transformed. And I think if you followed that with your story, it would tighten it up and it would make it that much more powerful when you share it, because you will focus clearly on those things that highlight that truth for you. But your way of sharing is great. I think that it's a very honest, and your voice is very clear. And I think that it's a story that needs to get out there, that when you're hopeless, people discard you. When you do not believe in yourself, people discard you. But the moment you embrace the challenges, those people that could see the courage it takes started to embrace you. And that's a wonderful message, and that you're trying to help other people. That's a wonderful gift you have to share with others. So I thank you very much.
I don't know,
thank you.
Judy. I felt the ups and downs. I felt there was real dramatic shape to.
Oh, no, it wasn't that there wasn't ups and downs. What I felt is that he didn't really give the attention to them, so they got blurred in some of those other moments. Whereas there
Well,
were some really key at least for me. I'm only giving my insight to try to.
It was not too difficult to read between the lines and to feel the emotions involved. I was struck especially about how you and your mother and father are a unit together. You know,
Yes.
when you first got that news, Sudhir, you told us your first thought was about your father, not even about yourself, but about how he would be upset and disappointed. So, of course, congratulations that you survived all this. Thank
Oh, no,
God.
it's a testimony to the human spirit, what he's done, and that I think it's great that he's going out and sharing it. I just was trying, because he said storytelling isn't his. So I, as a storyteller, was trying to give him areas to focus on. If it came across that I was undermining you, that was not the intent. I apologize, because my gift to you was to try to show you areas that you could tighten it up and strengthen it. Not that the story itself wasn't wonderful, because it was.
Judy, I just speak from my own experience. There's some stories that I tell in such a way because if I really told it fully, I would start crying. I would choke up. So I don't dare give full impact to certain things. Some things have to be glossed over a little bit and let people read between the lines. But anyway. Anybody else? Any thoughts, comments, questions? All right, then perhaps we'll move on. Sudhir, thank you very much. And
Thank you very much, Eric. I just want to speak a few statements. Thank you very much, Judy, for your feedback. And they all are most welcome. I'm an ever learning student, so all are taken in a very positive manner. And thank you very much, Eric, for your motivation and to getting it right as well. So thanks a lot, Eric. I sincerely value that. And thanks everyone for putting your words of appreciation over the comments as well. I sincerely value that. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.